In this lesson, I'm going to show you the simple subject, the simple predicate, how to identify the elements of a prepositional phrase, and how to identify the articles and the nouns that they modify. Follow along, please. All right. The simple subject is who or what is completing the action, or who or what is being something. The simple subject is what the sentence is all about. The simple subject is always a noun or a pronoun in the sentence. Okay? For every simple subject that you have, you're going to have a simple predicate to go along with it. The simple predicate is simply what the simple subject is doing. It can also be a linking verb, which we're going to get into in more depth later. But not all verbs are action verbs. A lot of the verbs that you're maybe used to seeing are verbs like reading and hiking and playing, but sometimes verbs can be linking verbs like is, are, am, was, were. There's actually many more of them. But linking verbs link the subject to something that the subject is being. Like, I am tired. The verb in that sentence is am. But it doesn't show action. It just shows a state of being. I am in the state of being tired. We'll go into that in another lesson. In most cases, the simple predicate will come after the simple subject in the sentence. We're going to look at some examples coming up. You're going to have to be able to identify the simple subject and the simple predicate, but the easiest way to do that, I find, and plus it also helps you with another part of speech is a preposition, is to identify prepositional phrases. Because if you can identify prepositional phrases, you can find the simple subject and the simple predicate much easier. Because the simple subject and the simple predicate will never be in a prepositional phrase, right? But just as a little refresher, a prepositional phrase always begins with a preposition and ends with the first noun or pronoun that you encounter. A preposition is a word used to show the relationship between two nouns. It shows the direction or location of something. Under the porch. That's your preposition. Without his gloves. In the essay. Over the building. Over the fence. Between the pages. And there's many, many prepositions. The object of the preposition, we're going to be studying three different types of objects: direct objects, indirect objects, and object of the preposition. The object of the preposition is the noun or pronoun that completes the prepositional phrase. So if we look up here, porch would be the object of the preposition, fence would be the object of the preposition, pages, gloves, essay, building, and in all these cases that object of the preposition is a noun. The object of the preposition could be a pronoun too. If I say something like without him, without her, then in those sentences the object of the preposition would be pronouns him and her. Finally, an article is a type of adjective and always modifies a noun. It always modifies a noun, and there are three of them: a, an, and the. If you find an article, there must be a noun nearby. Now that's your information, but let's put it to some use. Check it out. See if we can do this. The first thing you do when you come to one of these sentences is locate the prepositional phrases. You have to be able to locate the prepositional phrases first. It makes finding all the other elements of the sentence much easier. When we get into more complicated things, it's going to help you immensely if you can identify the prepositional phrases first. So a prepositional phrase will begin with the preposition and end with the first noun or pronoun that you hit. So that'll be the end of it. Here's another one. Okay, that is where it ends. You notice that there is a preposition following that, and that is perfectly fine. Just know that you can never have more than one preposition in a prepositional phrase. So this is the beginning of the next one, and the 17th and 19th, and this is actually the end of it. Okay? The end of those prepositions are the objects of the preposition. Okay? This is an OP. It's an OP. There's no P. They all start with a preposition and end with the first noun or pronoun that you hit. Okay? Now, since you've isolated those prepositional phrases, the next thing is to identify your simple subject and your simple predicate. Some people prefer to find those in a different order. It's really up to you. I go for the verb first, and since I know that the simple subject and the simple predicate cannot appear in a prepositional phrase, I only have two words left to choose from, people or settled. Which one of those is something that you can do or something that you can be? People can settle, so this is your verb. Okay? The part of the sentence is your simple predicate. And every simple predicate must have a simple subject. And you're going to look for that simple subject in this direction. There's our simple subject. All right? A simple subject either has to be a noun or a pronoun. And in this case, people is a noun. And your simple predicate always has to be a verb. All right, the only other thing I need you to look at is your articles. If you can just get used to finding your articles, which are just a type of adjective. There's only one in this sentence. Remember, there are only three, a, an, and the. And it's right there. And all articles have to modify nouns. All right? So what noun is the modifying? The what? The centuries. So it's modifying that noun right there. That's good for number one. Number two. First thing you need to do is identify your prepositional phrases. To Texas, before the settlement of the Europeans. You'll notice that if you find a preposition, it has to be in a prepositional phrase. We're going to get into words that look like prepositions but are actually adverbs in a later lesson. But for now, if you find a preposition, it's going to be at the beginning of a prepositional phrase. All right? So, what's the word that ends a prepositional phrase? It's called an object of the preposition. And it is going to be a noun or a pronoun. Easy enough. To Texas, before settlement of Europeans. If you get those out of your face, you're left with these three words. What's your verb? It's right here. It's your verb. Otherwise known as my simple predicate. If there's a simple predicate, there must be a simple subject. There's my simple subject. That is either going to be a noun or a pronoun. In this sentence, it's a noun. Okay? Let's look for my articles. There's an article. There's an article. They must modify nouns. The what? The. Oops. The is an article that modifies settlement. And the is an article that modifies Europeans. Number three, about the early Mexican settlers of Texas. Object of the preposition, object of the preposition. This here is not a noun. This is actually an adjective telling me what kind of settlers we're dealing with. So Mexican is actually an adjective, whereas up here Mexico is the name of a place, and that is a noun. So here Mexican is an adjective. All right, so it begins with the preposition, ends with the object of the preposition. Preposition, object of the preposition. Now, this one's a little trickier. I'm left with more words here, but I'm going to find my verb. My verb is wrote. That's my simple predicate. Who did the writing? Roberto Feliz Salazar is my simple subject. Now I'm just going to hunt down my articles. I have one, and that is it. Has to modify a noun. Modifies settlers. Number four, they built their thick walled adobe houses from the dry Texas earth. Here you go. Now you might say, well, Texas looks like a noun to me. In a lot of cases, it would be a noun. But in this instance, Texas is telling you what kind of earth we're dealing with. So this is our noun, otherwise known as our object of the preposition. And Texas in this sentence is behaving like an adjective. Okay? It's telling us what kind of earth we're dealing with, what kind of dirt. So it's the Texas dirt or Texas earth. So this here is an adjective. So your prepositional phrase begins with from and actually ends with the word earth. All right, so we're left with all the rest of these words here. Which one of those is our verb? It's built. That is our simple predicate. And if you remember that our simple subject is going to be in that direction, there's our simple subject. And in this case, they is not a noun, it is a pronoun. Remember, our simple subject can be a noun or a pronoun. There you go. We have one article, the. The modifies a noun. And like I said, there's only one noun. Texas is an adjective. Dry is an adjective. Did it again. So it's modifying the noun earth. The earth. Finally, number 5. In the harsh Texas climate. Again, we have a word that maybe looks like a noun most times, but in this, it's modifying the word climate. So climate is actually the noun. Okay? Texas is telling us what kind of climate we're dealing with. So that's our noun. Climate is our OP, our object of the preposition. So it starts with the preposition in, ends with the first noun that we run into. We're left with these 3 words to find our simple subject and simple predicate. Simple predicate is grew. Simple subject is crops. Crops is a noun. Grew has to be a verb. Our simple predicate is always a verb. We have one article, the, and the has to modify a noun, and it does. The what? The climate. All right? This looks like a big mess, and that's about what your paper should look like too when you're done doing this. That is it. Finding simple subjects, simple predicates, prepositional phrases, objects of the preposition, and articles. Done.